Hello everyone, this is Greyshot17, and today I'm here to talk about the delay of Company of Heroes 3. Yes, so for those who don't know, Company of Heroes 3 was officially delayed from November 17th up until February 23rd, 2023. The delay, for which I have a couple opinions on, was announced by Relic with this statement. As we approach the November 17th launch for Company of Heroes 3, our team has decided the game is not quite up to our players' or our own high standards. There are still bugs to squash, pixels to polish, gameplay to adjust, and feedback to address. That was the official statement from the development team. Now, do I believe that statement? Yes, actually, for the most part. I think that right now it is almost 6 weeks away, so it's October 4th when I'm recording this. I am more inclined to believe that they most likely were going through everything, right? And there were probably a couple too many bugs, optimization features, stuff like that. They're like, we can't finish this in 6 weeks without probably the first week or first month being a little rocky, right? And unfortunately, again, if you delay it even a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you start getting into holidays like Thanksgiving, like Christmas, etc. And again, right now, it's probably best to give it a few extra months. In this case, up until February 23rd. That way the team has plenty of time to work out any features, any bugs, and make it the best launch it possibly can be. Again, this is great news, especially for, at least in my opinion, because I would rather them have plenty of time and wait an extra, 16 weeks? Oh, actually, no. It's longer than that. Dang it. It's 19 weeks. It's fine. I would rather wait that period of time for a better release for a game rather than two options. I would not want to have a game that is buggy upon launch, right? Because that doesn't really benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit the developers because they work so hard on a product and they know there's stuff they can fix, and it doesn't really help the community trying to play that game. I also don't want them to crunch. And for those who don't know, or maybe new in terms of video game terminology, crunch is essentially it's something that a lot of video game companies are trying to avoid, and that's when employees, instead of working a normal, let's say, 40-hour work week, are working 50, 60, 70 hours, 80 hours a week, trying to finish a game right before its official release. A notorious example I can think of crunch and how it was kind of normal in the video game industry was a game called Halo 2, one of my favorite games, but the development team was essentially on crunch for 11 months. And that's essentially, they made that game in a very small window. A fantastic game, but a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that, and probably a lot of stress on devs that really didn't need it. And a lot of times, crunch is a failure of sort of like upper level staff in terms of managing production, managing development time, etc. Right? So I'm glad that it seems like they're not doing that and they're not trying to make their workers like, okay, well, you got 6 weeks. We're not delaying this game. You guys are just going to have to deal with it. I'm glad that's not the case. And if I had to make the assumption, they were probably doing final checks. Because right now, this game is, again, roughly 6 weeks away. You have all sorts of promotional stuff that probably had to be kicked off. I know they had the IGN first stuff, but like there's other marketing material that would probably be fired very soon if they didn't get the delaying action, right? You also have delaying action possibly for hardware manufacturers like the NVIDIA graphics cards, or AMD, right? Because they have to optimize all the graphics cards and then send out driver updates. So there's probably more time needed to get all that stuff finalized too. But again, giving 19 weeks should be plenty of time, and hopefully that they get everything optimized the way they want. Although, to be fair, I don't mind the bug. Like, the tank flying in the background of that campaign mission was goddamn hilarious. So, bugs like that I'm fine with. It's more bugs that cause gameplay issues or drag the fun of it, if that makes sense. I don't mind bodies flying through the air or anything like that. That's just fun. Another reason I have, and I kind of was looking at other game releases in November, and it kind of hit me. I'm like, oh, and before someone goes, trust me, there's a reason for this. A competition might have been too tough in November. And before you guys say, what are you talking about? Like, what's the other competition? And to be fair, God of War comes out within a week of Company of Heroes 3 releasing. And you could say, well, Greyshot, God of War Ragnarok is on PlayStation 5 and I believe PlayStation 4. and then you have the Sonic game coming out the day before. There's not really much competition in terms of strategy games, where I'll say yes and no. First off, I think Sonic's coming behind because they wanted that game buried, and God of War will make so much noise that when bad reviews of Sonic come out, no one's really going to pay attention, at least in my opinion, because why else would you release Sonic a day before God of War? Anyway, no matter if God of War is good or bad, I think that's going to take up a lot of the social media sphere, marketing teams, everything like that is going to have a hard time breaking through when you have such a big, massive game coming out. And while RTSs have been on the upswing in the last few years, they are nowhere near the the level they were in their prime. So I feel like, again, they're looking at this and like, even if we release this game and it has a few bugs or something like that, they could see that being an issue when you have such a massive, possibly extremely highly rated title coming out. It just absorbs all of the word of mouth. And even if your game's good, it may have trouble breaking through and actually hitting that niche, because again, a lot of eyeballs, stuff like that, could go to another game. And while you still have, again, stuff like IGN First and other things like that, again, it can be very tough for a game to break through in that time period, unless it is equally as good as God of War, Ragnarok, and that's a hard thing to compete with right now. So that at least that's my thought process there. So I think more bugs, but I think also competition can't be ruled out as a factor. Now, moving on, what we might see from this is, of course, improvements in the UI, just hopefully additional stuff like components you can move around, add, or adjust. I really also want of course, visuals to keep being boosted or, bettered in any way, shape, or form, and also include performance. I really want to make sure performance is good for as many people as possible in order to play the game. And as well, hopefully this means we also get more information, or at least confirmation of some things. For example, so far, unless I'm mistaken, we have not gotten anything about Company of Heroes replays, right? We haven't got anything there. They just released information about mod tools being available day one. That could allow for them to make sure that maybe they have... again, I kind of think of this like a best case scenario. XCOM 2 is a great example of a game that not only had mod tools available day one, but actually had modded stuff, community stuff available day one. So if they do something like that, where they just make it so that the community can just grab things or make stuff available day one, that would be amazing. I think that isn't too hard of a fix, and I feel like that will allow them a little bit more time if that's the approach they're going with. Again, I also think a refining of missions. We'll get to the campaign and stuff later, but I do think that if they are playtesting this game and they want to make sure that everything is as balanced as it possibly can be, right? Then I think that refining mission objectives, gameplay, stuff like that is probably a top priority to make sure everything's as smooth as possible before it gets in the hands of so many people. Because I don't doubt, because again, this happened in Co 2, this happened in Co 1, from what I've been told, that people, as soon as they get their hands on Co 3, are gonna find something that breaks the meta, right? That's pretty certain. But the goal is to try to reduce that chance as much as possible and make sure it's not something so obvious, right? So that's what I'm thinking is possibly stuff that can be added upon. What I don't think that we are going to get is, don't expect another campaign. Don't expect additional, my opinion, like campaign missions or anything along those lines. And I would probably bet that you're not going to see anything already planned, right? So like battle groups, right? We already know a handful of battle groups. I don't expect in 3 months they're just going to pop out another one. It's going to be ready for launch, or pop out a new faction, or anything like that. I would make, and my guess would be, it's refining those systems. It's not really adding upon those systems. Because again, 3 months, especially for development, is not a lot of time in order to make something brand new and add it into the game. Typically, it takes a lot more time. And again, that's why I think it's more of a refinement period rather than an addition. This isn't Fortnite. This isn't Apex Legends, where they have so many developers working on those games to make sure there's constantly new material, new maps, all this stuff. I truly do not believe Relic has as many devs as those bigger games. So in 3 months, they're not just going to suddenly spring out with additional content. So I do not expect that. Again, refinement, not like additional content. So that's my overall thoughts on the delay and what I think could be added and what won't be added. Yeah, if they suddenly announce a third campaign, I'll be like, oh wow, but no, that's not the case. But again, that's my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you guys think down below. This has been Greyshot117, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello everyone, this is Greyshot117, and before y'all go, let me give a special shout out to Patreon supporters Joey G240, Milam, BigChuche, Aphyria, Ace, PyroShark, Tony B95, Epic Pleb. Thank you all for your incredible support and helping me grow my channel and support my channel and everything I do. Thank you, and to the rest of you, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.